Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome back. I hope everybody had a fantastic weekend and everybody is doing good. Thank you so much for joining me again on Tuesday. So, tonight's topic is, are gas prices still affecting you guys? I know in my area, gas has gone down probably about like $1.20 to $1.50 depending on where you're at since like 2 months ago, which I feel like jumping up and down for joy, and I'm sure some of you guys are as well. So that's going to be kind of the topic of tonight. I'm just going to say hi real quick to whoever's here, and then we're going to kind of dive right into it. So I know Gary said he wasn't going to be here, but hi, Gary. Hey, Thomas, how are you? Hey, Josh, what's going on? Hey, Christopher. And hey, Bohemian Monkey, how are you? So the kind of what we're going to cover tonight is it affecting the way that you deliver? Gas prices still affecting, I should say, the way you deliver? Are you taking longer miles from where you were about a month, maybe 2 months ago? Are you seeing more drivers out? And are you seeing any new drivers out? Have you seen new up and coming drivers, newbies coming to your own area? And then any other thoughts that you guys might have on this topic right here. So that's kind of what we're going to dive into tonight. So as I said, I've just seen a really big decrease, and it really got me thinking. We always talked about when the gas prices were increasing, like we're like, oh my god, like the prices are out of control, and what's this going to do as a driver to us, and how is it going to affect us? But now we really didn't talk about, now that gas prices are coming down, are we changing our mentality into where we were previous to the gas prices going up? Are we still a little cautious when it comes to the orders that we're taking? So that's kind of what sparked this whole conversation tonight. It's one of those things, I feel like sometimes I get the best ideas when I'm driving and like they pop into my head, but I just thought it was just something that was kind of worth talking about. So is it affecting the way you deliver? Is it still affecting the way you deliver? I know when we first started this, I know a lot of us are like, yep, nope, not going to take any long distance orders. I'm going to cut back. I might cut back my hours. There were things that we were all talking about, that what we were going to do in order to offset some of the gas prices. We were also talking about, what the gig apps were going to do for us. Obviously, all those fantastic benefits have somewhat gone away, except for DoorDash. I think you can still get that 10% back if you use their card. I think they still have that going on. But other than that, most of the delivery platforms have kind of got reverted back to what they were doing previous to gas prices going up. So that's going to be my first question to you. So leave it in the chat. Is it affecting the way that you deliver currently? Did you revert back to some of, like, I'll say your whole old habits, for lack of better word? Are you reverting back to some of your old habits? A lot of us were saying also that we weren't going to take anything under, I'm making this up, $6 or $10 because of the way gas prices were. So are you still sticking to your minimum, or are you, I know some of you guys are in slow down. Did you go back to, okay, well, I might take a 575 or I might take a 475 in order to get my day started, especially during those like off-peak times? But before, when gas prices were, like, no, I'm not taking it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my effort. Because I know I started reverting back to some of my older ways of thinking previous to gas, because, I'm not putting as much money into the gas tank as I would, a couple months ago. So that got me thinking. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to take some of the orders that Okay, I used to take, like, I have no problem saying I, take, 5.75 orders first thing in the morning because it's breakfast. People are ordering like an $8 breakfast sandwich, or they're ordering like a sausage egg McMuffin meal from McDonald's. So in order to get my day started, a lot of times I'm taking some of like the really small orders, and I might be taking like 3 or 4 in an hour to achieve my $20-$25 order. I mean, an hour in the morning. And like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, nope, not taking anything under $6. Not worth my time. Not worth my effort. I was also a couple weeks ago cutting back my hours just like slightly. Like I was finding myself like going out at 6 o'clock at night opposed to 5 o'clock at night, just because I'm like, oh, okay. Like I don't see any orders at dinner time that was like, okay, I need to go take this order. Like I felt like it wasn't ramping up until 6 o'clock. So I'm like, why am I going to waste my time at 5 o'clock when majority of the dinner rush was coming in at 6 o'clock? Um, so yeah, that was kind of like my mentality of, how it was kind of affecting me, to go. So I'm not afraid to take further miles. That's going to be like my next, topic. So that's a really good segue, Thomas, going into, my next, bullet point that I have for this topic is, are you taking longer mile orders? I'm back to taking longer mile orders. I was never, even during high gas prices, if the price was worth the miles, like I still were taking them. I was just a little bit more cautious. Like previous to gas prices going up, I'm like, okay, long distance, it's worth my mile. I'm going to take this order. Like I called them my big chunks of change. And then when gas prices happen, I'm like, I was really cherry picking through a lot of these longer miles, because I'm like, okay, is the miles versus the money I'm putting in my car versus the money I'm getting back, is it really worth the time and energy? And I felt like I became I don't know whether it's a better cherry picker or a more pickier picker. Is that even a thing? A more pickier picker? Maybe I need to capitalize on that statement. Um, but yeah, I really noticed like lately, even like this past weekend, between Grubhub and Uber Eats, they've been sending some good orders my way, and with those good orders come some long miles. But do you think I was going to be passing up some of that money that was coming in because it was longer distance? I'm like, no. I had that Grubhub stacked order, I think it was on Sunday night. That was a $35 stacked order. But I'm trying to remember the miles. I was trying to think of it as I was going to talk to you guys tonight. I'm like, how many miles was that? Was it 13? Was it 16? I couldn't remember what the miles were on it. I know it was a pretty long distance mile. But when it comes to $35, I'm not leaving $35 on the table. And I still wouldn't have left that $35 on the table, even a month or two ago when gas prices were, $1.20 to $1.50 extra. But I guess the reason behind me really saying this is like I felt like this weekend I was taking a lot more long distance orders. Sometimes they were even back to back, where previous I'm like, okay, I took a long distance order, I'm not going to take another long distance order for like the next 2 hours unless something fantastic comes in. So I kind of limited myself, but I felt like by limiting myself during the gas prices, I was also limiting the amount of money that I was actually putting into my pocket, which I felt like that's kind of where that balance was coming in a couple months ago, where like you can be cautious, but you still needed to make money, but I still needed to make goals, but I still needed to watch my miles, because then I had to watch my gas. Like I felt like it was a very big juggling act, and I feel like I started to take some of those barriers away because of the gas prices that were actually coming through. So I definitely have seen, yesterday, and you'll see it tomorrow when I actually do my video for tomorrow, but I did a $28 stacked order, but it was going, I think it was like 11 miles yesterday. So I did that as well. What's the gas price where you live right now? It is $4.39. I just paid today, so that's kind of where I was during the height of everything. I think I got up to five. I forget what it was. It was 5.55. It was in the mid fives when it really gas really peaked in there too. So let me know. Hey, since Chris brought it, since Chris brought it up, put in what are your gas prices? Are you is anybody there from California? Are you guys still like crazy high in California? Just say where you're at and what your gas prices are, and we'll kind of share amongst each other. And whether give it a thumbs up if you're liking the new gas prices, or whether like, it's all good. It's it's not. It's to me, it's still really high. Just curious. So put it in the comments real quick. Yeah, I completely agree. If we can get gas around my area under $4, I would be like, oh my God, I think we would all be loving life as gig workers. I think it would be putting more money in all of our pockets. Our profits would actually increase and our costs would actually decrease. I think we would all feel good about going under $4 at this point. It should be interesting over the next couple of weeks if it still continues to go down, or if it doesn't continue to go down. I guess time is gonna tell. I guess we'll kind of see as it's going, but I feel like this is like a really good segue. So the more gas prices are going down, the big issue when gas prices were going up was a lot of drivers are like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore, especially part-time drivers. Nope, I'm gonna not do it anymore. I'll come back in a couple months when the prices are either up or down, or we'll kind of reevaluate it. But I feel like a lot of drivers kind of took a step back and was like, okay, I'm gonna call it quits for a little bit. So just curious, have you guys noticed more drivers out in your area now that gas prices are down? So anybody who's here, leave it in the chat. Are you guys seeing more drivers out since gas prices have gone down, or are you still seeing the same amount? And if you're watching this on the replay, put it in the comments. Are you seeing more drivers? Are you not seeing more drivers? Kind of like, what are you guys seeing in your own markets? Josh, I'll take a look at this later, but no, I haven't seen anything like this yet, but I'll do some research for you and see whether it's happening in my market. But that's really interesting. Okay, so I personally have this past weekend. Granted, I feel like it's kind of hard to tell just based off of, I had a couple of peak pays this weekend. I had a quest going on this weekend. And normally this stuff kind of brings out like every driver known to man. I'll say I feel like I'm seeing more drivers, But previous to gas prices going up, if a peak pay or even a quest came out, like the chances of getting orders were like, I don't even know why I'm working during a peak pay or quest, but this weekend I was still getting orders and I was still getting good orders and I was still capitalizing on peak pays and quests. So I'm like, that made me feel like, I'm like, okay, so maybe a lot of drivers aren't back quite yet. So I don't know. I'm just curious, on what you guys are observing too. Yeah, Chris, I know you're kicking butt with ships. And then that kind of brings me up to like my next thing. And I know, Thomas, I just saw you say this is kind of like a good segue into my next one. But newbies are probably taking the crap orders again and messing it up again on DoorDash. That's kind of like my next topic. So are you guys seeing new drivers out there as well? So are they still even though like we're kind of because some of us took a step back. I did not take a step back, but are you seeing new drivers out? I've been seeing, I'll be honest, I've been seeing more DoorDash new drivers. I don't feel like you can always tell who's a new driver and who's not. They come in with a shiny new DoorDash bag, like all proud to have like that DoorDash symbol bag, and they do everything so perfectly good and they're so excited, and I'm like, oh, you're so a newbie. Or like they'll have their app, or even like the opposite, like the bad part where like they'll come in and like they get really super annoyed that like their order isn't ready and they're like, why isn't my order ready? I want my order ready now. And you're like, dude, just cancel. Don't waste your time. Just cancel. That's usually when I strike up a conversation. I usually go up to them and go, you can cancel that order, right? And it's either like, oh, I can, and like they don't know it. And I feel like you're like educating some of these newbie drivers. So it's just curious if you guys are, like I said, I've seen a lot more DoorDash new drivers lately, not so much Grubhub. I've gotten even a couple of comments from you this past week that, a couple of you guys are still on, the wait list for Grubhub. Hang in there, guys. Grubhub is a process. That's the only thing I can say. A year and a half later, I got onto Grubhub. All I can say, be persistent. If you're on a wait list for Grubhub. So Grubhub, I really haven't seen. Uber, I feel like, yeah, but DoorDash, definitely in my area. So you noticed a few drivers in a few past days, but I think it's because near the end of the month, it's a good possibility. Like I said, it was kind of hard to judge this weekend, like I said, because to your point, it was, and it's a very good point, it is the end of the month, and you do see a lot more drivers coming out towards the end of the month. But a lot of mine was based on like peak pays. But like I said, I feel like we're still not back, because like months ago, if there was a peak pay, I'd be like, I don't even know why I'm even out. I know I'm not going to get a DoorDash order, because I know that it's going to literally bring out like every single driver known to man, and I'll be lucky if I get one DoorDash order in an hour. And I think it was like Saturday or Sunday, I started my night and it was in a $2 peak pay with 3 DoorDash orders in a row until like Grubhub and Uber Eats kicked in. And that's when I'm like, I don't know whether, drivers are fully back yet because of the gas prices actually coming down. So new drivers, you can tell because they're the ones asking restaurants and asking them dumb questions. whenever I see that happening, like that's usually when after they're done asking their dumb questions, I usually go, "Oh, so are you new to the platform?" And then usually they're like, "How did she know that?" I feel like I get that stare, like, "How did she know that?" And then I'm like, "Oh," and then I start like, if they have questions, like I feel like it's my duty to educate some of these newbies out in the world that way, because I feel like someone did that for me once, and I think I've said this before. Is I feel like there was one time where I think I was like a month on doing DoorDash. This is when I very first started DoorDash. And I went to a restaurant that I actually love now. I hated it at the time. I love it now because I got to know the ins and outs of the restaurant. And I was waiting and I was waiting and I was waiting at a table. And I'm like, I probably looked like this at the table. And another DoorDash driver came up to me. He goes, "Are you waiting for DoorDash?" And I said, "Yeah, how can you tell?" He's like, "Your phone." He was so funny. So he actually started nicely talking to me. And he was just like, "I've been doing this for like 2 years now." He's like, "Do yourself a favor, cancel the order, make it another driver's problem. As long as you don't go under 80%, just cancel the order and move on." And I'm like, "You can do that?" Like, I was so new to doing this. So I feel like it's my duty, since someone was so nice to me. Um, so they were so nice. He was so nice to me, and he taught me that I can use the cancel button, and I wasn't going to be affected. Ever since then, I feel like I'm like, okay, thank you. I need to pass it on. So whenever I feel like I see a newbie driver out there that like really has no clue, I try to educate them as much as I possibly can. But yes, I feel like sometimes they do ask a lot of dumb questions, but I try to educate as much as I possibly can. Do you think Spark is affected with gas because of orders are not normally far from me? It's a good question. I feel like, and this is how I kind of know I kind of transitioned because of gas, and this is a really good point. Um, I in the beginning I thought with Spark I was actually saving money by doing Spark, and then I kind of had like that aha moment. As much as I love Spark and I love doing it, it might have saved miles on the orders because you're doing like 3 mile orders, 5 mile orders, 7-ish mile orders, I think has been like the biggest order I've done besides batch orders. We'll take like that out of the equation. um, but I found out that I'm like, I don't know why it just like hit me in the head. I felt like I needed to like smack myself with the bottle of Dr. Pepper one day. My Walmart's 10 miles away from me. Even if like, it's still 10 miles there, 10 miles back. That's 20 miles on top of still doing the orders throughout the day. So I was still putting on even though I thought in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm saving like these miles doing Spark. And I'm like, Kim, what's wrong with you? You're still doing like 10 miles. And it wasn't 10 miles one way, 10 miles another way. Like, my day is broken up because my daughter's in school. So I would drive 10 miles to Walmart, do a couple Sparks, do 10 miles back to go pick up my daughter. And then I would go back at Spark again, drive 10 miles to Walmart again, 10 miles back. Like, every time I went back and forth to Walmart, I was still doing 10 miles. So if you live closer to a Walmart, I still think that Spark has a really lucrative thing with as far as miles are concerned, especially if you live closely to one, unlike me, who has to actually travel to the Walmart. So that's another thing, like with Walmart, like besides it being a shore and beach area for me, which has made Walmart for me, I don't say non-existent. It's just really hard right now because of the shore traffic, and it becomes more of a headache and nightmare trying to maneuver. And to me, sometimes it's just not worth it until the fall comes around and everybody kind of goes back to their respectable areas and home. So, the miles I'm still doing as far as food delivery, because I've been getting a lot of even good orders with food delivery that are even small orders. So, it kind I feel like it always balances itself out, whether it's Spark or whether it's DoorDash or Uber Eats or Grubhub. I think a lot of it is you have to make smart choices and decisions and be like cherry pick. You guys all know I am a very big believer in cherry picking. I'm not too picky, but I still believe in starting your day off right and start just getting a good start to your day, but also continuing on your day to make the best decisions for you in your area. Like I said, I feel like you have to know the balance and kind of keep a running tally in your own head. Like, okay, I can't just do 15-mile orders 3 in a row. Like, I have to kind of balance myself that if I do an 11-mile order this order, okay, maybe like, unless like the next order is like a really fantastic order, like it has to be like a 3 to 5-mile order, or it has to be like a 2-mile order. Like, that's kind of how I kind of counterbalance, so to speak. And I guess I think of stacked orders a little bit differently, in my opinion, than a lot of people. And I feel like I think of stacked orders. I don't think of it as a whole, like, oh my God, I'm doing 15, or I'm making this up. I'm going to be more realistic. Sometimes you get stacked orders for 10 miles. And sometimes they're $20, $22. Sometimes on the low side, like $18. So I always ask myself, okay, stacked order. If I'm getting paid $18, $20, would I have normally done a 10-mile order? I cut it in half. Would I have done a 10-mile order or $10 order for 5 miles? The answer is yes. Would I have done, and so on and so forth. So I usually kind of think of stacked orders as a whole and also individually, and what I'm kind of willing to do. And that's kind of how I make my decisions with stacked orders. And that's kind of how I like rationalize if a stacked order is kind of good or not. But that's kind of like my mile ratio. Like, I think of it as kind of two separate entities, but I also think about it as, when it comes to miles, at least. Jennifer, you need to tell your Walmarts to get on the program. I'm just kidding. You have no control over that. But that would be really awesome if they were, on the platform. That would be actually super easy for you to complete. Okay, so now that I digressed from Spark, but I think, Spark is viable when it comes to miles, because I think a lot of times with Spark, you have to really know if you have to travel to a Walmart, because, and I think like Shipt too, I feel like Shipt is kind of the same way too, because a lot of these the grocery delivery apps, they pay you for the miles from wherever their store is to wherever you're delivering. They don't take into account where you live or where you're coming from. So you kind of have to, in your head, do that math for yourself already to see whether, okay, well, and my Target's somewhat right by my Walmart too. So Target's about the same miles for me. It's probably about like a 10-mile distance to Target too. So I always have to tack on with a lot of these. Okay, so if I'm making this up, 9-10 miles to go to my Walmart or Target, and it's a 5-mile order, is was shipped, is the base pay going to be enough to cover my expenses in doing the order, because you don't know whether you're going to get a tip afterwards or not. Or in Spark case, is $22 worth the, I don't know, 15 miles that I'm going to do in order to do it. Once I'm there, I feel like it's a different ballgame because you're already there and you're already taking orders. And it literally at that point is the miles that you're just doing from Walmart to the customer's house and back. So I think it's definitely a viable, way of, you just have to think smart about a couple of these grocery apps, just in the case of miles versus dollar versus how it's going to completely affect your gas. And those of you who are doing food delivery, I should say grocery, I keep saying food delivery, I mean grocery delivery. Those of you who do grocery delivery out there, this is a question for you guys. So put it in the chat, or also if you're watching this on the replay, put it in the comments. So are you affected? Do you think you are doing more grocery delivery or food delivery even now with gas prices being the way they are? I know a lot of us went to grocery delivery when gas prices skyrocketed. So do you find yourself do you find yourself still doing more grocery delivery or food delivery, or are you starting to get a good combination of both? So put it in the chat right now. I'm just curious. Thomas, I agree with you. Stacked orders are the key of making money on all these platforms. Money versus miles win every time. I've always been a big stacked order fan ever since the beginning. I call them, and I always have called them, my big chunks of change. If you can really understand stacked orders and make really good decisions because of restaurants, so like if you are really understanding how your restaurants work in your area, and you can go pick up and go pick up and go, like some of my best orders have been stacked orders. But if you don't know your area and you don't know your restaurants, stacked orders can also be a horrible mistake. So always, they can be a lot of money. They can be worth your time. They can be good chunks of change in making your goals for the day. But be cautious, because it can come and bite you in the butt if you don't pick the right ones or the right mix. Okay, which one of these three food services do you make the most money off of? I feel like it goes week by week. If it was a couple weeks ago, I totally would have said it's DoorDash all the way. Now, it's Uber Eats. Uber Eats has made like a complete comeback in my area, and I've had some really good Uber Eats weeks these past like 2 weeks. So right now it's Uber Eats. Kind of my order last week, it was Uber Eats. It was Grubhub was my number 2. When has Grubhub ever been my number 2? And then it was DoorDash last week. I feel like it's, like I said, I feel like it goes week by week and what's performing what. And I always say go where the money is. And last week the money was with Uber Eats and Grubhub, which was fantastic. But I feel like I got a little spoiled, and I kind of have to wheel it back in, because yesterday when I went out, I'm like, man, it's not the weekend anymore. Like the orders that were coming in, I'm like, you can definitely tell it's the weekday. I felt like I got spoiled by some of the really good orders from Uber Eats and Grubhub over the weekend. And I feel like sometimes you have to change your mindset from weekend mode to Monday mode. And I always feel like Mondays are like my hardest days to transition into because it's a completely different mindset altogether. Sometimes I see a mix of grocery and food delivery, but the gas didn't change my mind. Just wanted to make more money. Yeah. I feel like I said, I'm still out here to make money. Whether the gas prices went up or whether the gas prices went down, I will say my mentality changed a little bit. I feel like I was a little, like I said before, I felt like I was a little bit more pickier when it came to cherry picking just because I wanted to make sure I was making the right choices. But at the end of the day, I also know how much money I need every single day in order to survive. Is that the right word? In order to continue my process. I think we all, especially if you're full time, even part-time too, but I feel like it's more of a full-time thing. Is I think we all know, and this is an individual thing, you all know how much you have to pay out in bills every single month. You all know how much your rent or your mortgage is every single month, and that's usually how I factor in my dollar per hour and my goal per day. So just because gas prices went up doesn't mean that my bills don't keep coming in. My mortgage still has to get paid. So even though I might have been a little bit more pickier, I still needed to take orders. I still needed to hustle. I still needed to go make money. And I think that's kind of I feel like a lot of times with changes, whether it's good or bad, this is a good change because gas prices are going down. As drivers, it's how do you continue to adapt to the times of kind of what's going on to continue to make your money, whether, and this goes for part-time or even full-time. I feel like a lot of that has a lot to do with how we work, how we operate. But at the end of the day, I haven't met a mortgage company or a gas and electric company or a cable company that says, you didn't take this order, so don't pay me. Like they still want their money regardless of whether they're taking orders or not. They're still knocking on your door saying you owe me X amount of dollars. So unless I'm taking orders, that's like it's the only way that bills are going to get paid. So whether it is, $5 orders, whether it's $10 orders, $28 orders, I still need to work and take orders and rinse and repeat every single day. How much time do you have to wait between stacked orders? Sorry, just jumping in. Hi, Mr. Eclectic. To me, it depends on where your restaurants are and whether you choose restaurants that are ready or not. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of my area, of my restaurants, that when I choose a restaurant, well, two restaurants if they're stacked, Uber Eats is a little difficult because you don't know where that second restaurant is. But hopefully I make good choices and both orders are ready and you grab it and you go and you grab it and you go and then you do 2 drop-offs and you're done. I think it depends on your choices with stacked orders, whether they're good or bad. In the restaurants, to me, the restaurants are going to make or break your stacked order, whether it's going to be successful or not successful. I mean, I had that order on Sunday, I think it was, that my very first pickup for a Grubhub order. And Grubhub, to me, they've been sending me a lot of stacked orders lately. Not that I'm complaining, because they're really good money. That's where you have to be super careful. Grubhub wait times, they've been better, not going to lie. But sometimes you can get hung up big time, and it is not a good situation to be stuck in. But my very first restaurant I went to, they had just gotten the ticket when I pulled up, and it was like a 15 item. Granted, they were fantastic, and they got the order done in 10 minutes. But I don't mind waiting for a stacked order if it's the very first pickup in your stacked order. It's that second pickup because you already have somebody's food in your car. Granted, they could be in hot bags, but you don't want to make sure that that second customer's food is cold when it arrives. So I think that's where you have to be careful with stacked orders. If the second one is going to be your weight, you really are going to have to make a decision on if you're going to keep it or canceling it, just based off of the first person's food that you have in your car and how good your hot bag is to keep the food warm for the first customer. That's where stacked orders can get a little on the dicey side. Okay, so I am moving to Central Texas, Hays County, because gas is $3.67. I don't know. You have heat down there. We just went through a heat wave. I don't know whether I can move to Texas, but I might move to Texas for getting gas for $3.67. That's awesome. I don't think I've ever gotten called by Uber before for waiting for a stacked order. I don't know whether I have that answer for you. Sometimes you'll get a notice from Uber. You haven't moved in a while. Is everything okay? Sometimes I think that's happened to me once or twice, maybe. But for the most part, I don't think that's really ever happened to me on Uber, but a lot of times it was an issue that I've already dealt with support and they already knew about it. So that's the only time I've really gotten a notification on Uber. Thomas, I think this is the age-long debate on Spark and acceptance rates. I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but the Spark acceptance 5%, still getting $30 to $50. Good for you. I know some people say acceptance rates matter. Some people say that they don't. I haven't really seen it affect me, but granted, I've been doing a lot more food delivery than I have Spark deliveries and ship deliveries lately, but that's just my area. But I'm at 18% right now. I really haven't seen it really affect me and the orders that I'm receiving. But maybe if you're in a smaller market and not getting as many orders, maybe it would affect you. I feel like that's like the biggest debate on like the Spark world, whether acceptance rate matters or don't matter. How many times have you been tip aided on Uber Eats? As much as I complain about tip aiding, handful of times, it doesn't happen very often. It just is never a good feeling when it does happen. I think maybe I can count on both in the two, maybe, have I been on Uber? Yeah, I can't remember how long I've been on Uber Eats, whether it's 2 years or 3 years at this point. I think I joined in 2020. Anyway, couple of times. The biggest one I've ever got tip aided was $8, and man, that hurts. It hurts, no matter whether it's $2, $1, $8, no matter what it is, it still hurts no matter what it was. But it doesn't happen very often. I just think it's a big topic of conversation just because it's wrong on a whole bunch of different levels when it actually does happen. And I'm just an advocate that I just think a customer shouldn't be able to be allowed, I should say, to tip aid at all. Like, it shouldn't even be a feature. And I feel like we give the customer way too much power with that. Thomas, I couldn't agree with you more. I believe whether acceptance rate matters or not, you should take the orders that you know as a driver you want to take, not the ones you're forced to take. I think that's a big part of what we do on a daily basis, whether you're part-time, full-time. I'm not going to be bullied into taking an order just because a platform wants me to take an order. I'm going to take the order that is right for me. I feel like there are so many factors that go into a lot of our decision making that these apps don't really understand or know about. I mean, for me, it could be the area you live in. You don't want to go to a neighborhood. You don't like the dollar amount, the mile amount. Like there are so many factors each one of us thinks about into taking an order, and only you as your own individual driver knows what those parameters are. We all have our own different hangups and parameters and what we'll take, what we don't take, and I'm never going to be bullied into taking an order that is not right for me in making my money and going. I'm out here to make money. I'm not going to let an app hinder me from going out and making my money just because they think I should have an order that doesn't work right for me. I'm still super picky with orders. If slow, I'm less picky or camp out and decline trash orders for a while, just go home. And I feel like I'm kind of going back a little bit to kind of our topic, and I think this is like a good segue into that as well, is I feel like the more gas prices that went up, the more pickier I became. And I think that's a good testament to kind of gas prices kind of going down. I'm really kind of getting back. I feel like I'm getting back into my groove. Like I feel like I'm almost like a weight. I don't know whether that's the right word to use. I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulder, that like now I feel like I'm free to take the orders that I want to take when I want to take and not have to worry in the back of my head, okay, is there going to be, do I have to put more gas in my car? Is my tank going to take $30 instead of it normally would take like $20? I feel like that's like kind of the message in all of this, like is, order taking versus, gas prices and how it really affected a lot of our decision making that we've made over like the past like 2 or 3 months once the gas prices really got hard. So Mario, I've been picky about what orders I take regardless of what gas prices are. Hey, whatever works for you. I just feel like I said, I just feel like when gas prices got sky, I'm like, okay, I need to like tighten it up a little bit. But like some of the gas prices didn't affect some of us. It affected some of us, didn't affect some others of us. It's actually a good thing that it didn't affect the way you were taking orders because you didn't deviate from what you actually believed in. You actually stuck to what you believe in, because then it actually worked out well for you that, you know what, this is what I believe in. I'm still going to take orders. I'm going to take them my way. I was going to say a bad word, but I will. Yeah, with gas prices, we'll say that. Yeah, with gas prices smashed it. So, it's good that you continued on your path. If you're super picky now, you were super picky then. It really didn't affect you when it came to gas prices. So guys, let me know real quick in the chat because we're coming up on time. So real quick, so let me know in the chat right now Do you think gas prices will continue to go down, or do you think that we're going to see gas prices to go up again in the near future? We'll kind of predict this together. So we'll call this the 26th of July. In a couple more weeks, we'll either laugh or make fun of ourselves because we were right or wrong. So right now, put it in the chat right now. Do you think gas prices will continue to go down, or do you think gas prices will continue to go up once the summer is over? Okay, Mr. Eclectic, you're going to say they're going to go back up. Monique, up. Okay, we got to have somebody, Mario, you think they're going to go down before they go back up by year's end? Anthony, up. Oh, we got another person. Thomas, you think they're going to go down? Okay. Sharika, I believe prices will go down by summer, but not too much. Okay. So a couple up, couple down. I personally think they're going to go down a little bit. I feel like gas prices always climb in the summer because people are traveling a little bit more. At least in my area, they're traveling a little bit more. So I think I'm hoping. I think someone said it before. I would love it if gas prices went under $4. That would be, can that be my Christmas wish? Is that too much to ask for a Christmas? That can be my Christmas present. So the world, the United States, whoever controls the gas prices, my Christmas wish is that gas goes under $3.99. So that's my Christmas wish. Should I make a song out of it? Because that would be kind of, that would be really funny. But yes, so a couple of us up, a couple of us down. I think it's going to go down. I'm hoping that it's going to go down a little bit, even though the more realistic side of me is saying, yeah, they're going to go back up at some point. Enjoy it while you can, just because I think they're going to go back up at some point. So the optimistic side, I'm going to be like, okay, go down, $3.99. And then the more realistic side, I'm like, they're probably going to go up. It would be a blessing if they went under $2. Is that $2 by Christmas? Oh, can you imagine? Oh, man, I think, yeah. I think it's wishful thinking. I always go down, and I think I've said this before, and I'm probably dating myself by saying this, is, man, when I was in college, gas was like 79 cents, 89 cents, and here we are, we're talking over $4 a gallon. That's what I keep like shaking my head. I'm like, man, times have changed. Oh, yeah. Oh, thank you, Thomas. We have some amazing drivers here. I appreciate all of you guys for being here on Tuesdays with me. It is always such a fun room and a fun chat, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. And you know what? With that being said, I'm going to be wrapping up. I'm sorry, I just saw this real quick because I just thought it was really funny. A Christmas miracle. It would be a Christmas miracle all in itself. But guys, thank you so much for being here on Tuesdays with me. Come back again next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. I will be here with you guys again. Don't forget, guys, also to give this live before you leave tonight a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. So, guys, I'm going to end for tonight. If you're driving, please stay safe and healthy. Remember, kindness is always free. I love you guys, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.